Hi everybody, Hub Arkush here for Pro Football Weekly with our edition of Exploit and Avoid for Week 13 of the NFL season. All the players you either want to be sure and start or stay away from in your fantasy football league. And for that, we welcome in senior editor Mike Wilkenny, who is also our fantasy football expert. And Mike, let's start with a couple matchups to exploit first. Who are guys you've got to have in your lineup if you can?
I think Browns running back TRENT Richardson Hub is someone that I would start, basically under all circumstances. And I'm speaking primarily to owners that have great running back depth. And we know that there are owners right now that are sitting pretty, they're very deep at the position, and Richardson may not be a must start, particularly if you don't have a flex. Well, I'm telling you, this is a great matchup for him. The Raiders allowing more than 130 rush yards per game, more than a rushing touchdown per contest. Richardson's getting a lot of work. I think he's a very attractive matchup. I think he's a guy that can get you 18 to 20 points this week.
Now, I see nothing screams at you from the other skill positions this week, but how about a defense? Maybe you can get in there and get some extra points.
Yeah, there are a lot of matchups I like this week, but this defense really jumps out to me because the Jets defense is available in a lot of leagues, more than you might think. And I always tend to think with the Jets that they're never as good as they're built up to be, and they're never as bad as they're built up to be. And when I look at the Jets defense, 5 return touchdowns this season when you include special teams, which is also included in some leagues. They've got a pair of interception returns scores this year. And this is very important when you look at the matchup this week. They play Arizona, a rookie quarterback Ryan Lindley threw 4 picks last week, 2 returned for scores by Janoris Jenkins of St. Louis. I think the Jets, as a plug-and-play defense on the waiver wire, could be a big difference maker for owners in Week 13.
I know. When we talk about players on your team who have matchups you might want to avoid, stay away from altogether, I got a hunch a lot of them are going to be in one game I saw on the schedule.
Yeah, there are a couple games here that really jump off the page this week in terms of being careful. And I think when it comes down to avoiding certain matchups, it's very key this time of year. I think you want to check out of some situations where you're just not going to have a lot of fantasy upside. When I look at Seattle-Chicago, that's one matchup that really stands out to me. Now look, you start Marshawn Lynch, you start Brandon Marshall. If Matt Forte is healthy in bigger leagues, certainly, even Michael Bush. Thereafter, though, you really have a lot of question marks, and I think you've got to stay away from complementary players in this matchup. You've got 2 very good defenses that don't allow a lot of touchdowns. I just think this is going to be a grinder. I think you've got to stay away from low upside situations.
And that's an NFC potential playoff showdown. How about a game with playoff implications in the AFC?
When we talk of grinders, we talk of Ravens-Steelers. And when we talk of Ravens-Steelers, we talk about 2 offenses that just aren't in good form right now. So one caveat, you start Ray Rice. You start Ray Rice in every league. You start Ray Rice ahead of just about everybody because he's Ray Rice. He can convert a 4th and 29 out of nothing. But I just think you've got to stay away from a lot of other situations in this game. You've got a Baltimore offense, 1 offensive touchdown in the last 2 games. Pittsburgh, 1 more offensive touchdown than that. But look, they're struggling in the run game. Jonathan Dwyer's going to get the start now. I would stay away from him against Baltimore. I'd also be very careful with Mike Wallace. He's a guy that hasn't played well. Now he might be kind of having to fight Emmanuel Sanders for a starting job. They're listed as co-number 1s on the depth chart. This is a mess, particularly if Charlie Batch is starting. I think you've got to stay away from this game unless you've got Ray Rice and then you start him and you don't worry about anything.
All righty, Mike. Those are our Week 13 fantasy football matchups to exploit or avoid. We've got all the best for you and all the information you need to enjoy pro football. To cover the NFL 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, you've got to stay with ProFootballWeekly.com.